What are you supposed to do about my daughter? When I announced that I was pregnant, my husband's sister yelled at me in anger. At that moment, I thought, seeing my husband's stern face, surely he'll stand up for me. Give up your baby. With that one phrase, my hopes were dashed so easily. I never imagined I would hear such cruel words not only from my sister-in-law but also from my own husband. I was shocked and couldn't stop crying. All right. I'll give up. With a trembling voice, that was all I could manage to say. I'm Nicole, 30 years old, married for 2 years. I met my husband Ace through a friend when he was working as a company employee. Even before marriage, he often came late to dates due to work, which seemed to be quite a demanding job. I wanted to support him, so I quit my job when we got married. After marriage, I felt happy doing simple things like going shopping on weekends or cooking together. My husband's parents had already passed away, and he has a sister named Miranda and a niece named Nina, who is 3 years old. After Miranda divorced a year ago, she and my niece moved to our neighborhood. Since then, she has been coming to our house every weekday, leaving Nina with me from around noon until late at night, saying she feels suffocated with the child. And then, late at night, when my niece, who was lonely without her mother, finally fell asleep, Miranda would come back and wake her up, banging on the door, and then leave. I love children, and my niece is cute, but I couldn't help but feel sorry for Nina, who cried every night, calling for her mom. I told Miranda about it when she came to pick up her niece, but she just shrugged and said, "So what?" She wouldn't listen to me seriously. I reluctantly asked my husband to talk to Miranda. Why? You're a housewife, so you should take care of Nina. But Miranda is Nina's mother, isn't she? I think it's strange for her to leave Nina with me every day. You, who can't even have children, have no right to talk. My husband raised his voice and went to his room without even looking at me. Why do I have to be yelled at just for telling the truth? To suppress my frustration with my husband, I took a deep breath and calmed myself down. Besides, it's not just my fault that we don't have children. I've told him many times that I want children, but he always dodges the issue. In addition, Miranda started pushing Nina's babysitting onto me not only on weekdays, but also on weekends. Moreover, they started going out together as a couple on my days off. Feeling fed up, I suggested that we all go to the park together so Nina could play too. Huh? Miranda said she wants to be alone with me, so obviously that's not gonna work. And why do we have to accommodate the child anyway? I was astonished by my husband, who always obeys Miranda, and Nina, with tears in her eyes, followed after her mother, calling the mommy. Shut up. You're supposed to stay home. Miranda shouted loudly at her and slammed the front door with my husband, leaving me behind. I gently hugged Nina, who was crying, and my heart ached. At the same time, I began to feel distrustful of my husband, who didn't care about my loneliness for the time we could spend together as a couple and said selfish things. Around that time, I had been feeling unwell for several days, so I went to the hospital and found out I was 3 months pregnant. I had been longing for this pregnancy, so I was overjoyed. I wanted to tell my husband right away, but he said, "I'll be home late today," so I was excited to talk to him slowly when he had a day off tomorrow. I wonder how Ace will react when he finds out I'm pregnant. Just imagining it made me feel happy, and I couldn't help but smile. However, the next morning, while I was preparing breakfast, Miranda came again without even contacting me, leaving Nina. I'm borrowing my big brother again today. You know, Miranda. What if you leave Nina at daycare instead of me from now on? Huh? What do you mean? It might be good for Nina to make friends there, don't you think? No way. That's a waste of money. If you pay the daycare fees, then it's a different story. With a faint smile, she began eating breakfast without permission. Miranda always eats like this without even bothering to decline when offered. No matter how many times I ask her to stop, she doesn't. I let out a big sigh. Good morning. Oh, Miranda, you're already here? Hey, let's go to that mall today. While spilling food from her mouth, she talks about today's plans. My husband seemed quite enthusiastic about it, so I quickly said, Hey, I have something important to tell you today. Later. I'm talking to Miranda right now. But it's really important. What? My husband looks at me as if to say it's probably not that big of a deal. Smiling at him, I convey the message. Hey, Ace. I'm pregnant. 3 months along now. What? Our child, finally. You're going to be a dad. I could tell from my beaming face how happy I was. However, my husband is momentarily speechless, his face blank. Are you kidding? Huh? Now it's my turn to be surprised by his reaction, and my husband mutters, This can't be happening. Furthermore, the smiling face of my sister-in-law changes completely. Are you planning to keep it? Of course. I didn't expect Miranda to say such a thing, so I was surprised in return. Then, she angrily bangs on the table. Don't be ridiculous. That's out of the question. What about our living expenses? I was bewildered by what she meant. There's no connection between my childbirth and her living expenses. If our living expenses decrease because of your child, it'll be troublesome. It seems my sister-in-law was receiving financial assistance from my husband every month. I was surprised to hear such a story for the first time. I didn't agree to that. There's no need for you to know. It's my earned money, so it's none of your business how it's used. What's wrong with helping out a struggling sister? With a red face, my husband glares at me. I was speechless. But as I stuttered at the unexpected turn of events, my sister-in-law leaned forward toward my husband, pressing the matter. Hey, Ace. You're still giving me $2,000 every month, right? Of course. Huh? $2,000? But my living expenses are only $800? With a triumphant look, Miranda directs a nasty expression toward me. I became increasingly unsure of what my husband was thinking and ended up sitting down in a chair. Then, my husband stands in front of me and blurts out. Give up your baby. What are you talking about? I can't just abandon my precious Miranda and Nina. Besides, Nina is definitely cuter than any child you would have. These are our children we're talking about. I thought my husband would naturally be happy about it, but he wasn't. I never imagined my husband would readily accept Miranda's outrageous and selfish demands. My trust and affection for him crumbled suddenly. Tears overflowed with anger and sadness. Okay, I give up. I couldn't help but bite my lip tightly. In response, my husband and Miranda exchanged glances and smiled. Please continue taking care of our daughter. I couldn't bring myself to respond to Miranda and just ignored her, while my husband and Miranda left without a care for Nina. Mom, Nina cried sadly, as usual. Left behind, I have to take care of Miranda's child as usual. And yet, to give up my own child. As my confused feelings gradually settled, a boiling rage rose from the depths of my SSH. I won't forgive this. I clenched my fists and resolved to get revenge on my husband. The next day, I decided to search for my husband's bank book. Until then, I didn't know how much my husband was earning. I had heard it wasn't much. So, I had been managing the household finances by breaking into my savings and earning income from my part-time job. What was the point of supporting the household if I couldn't even complain about it to my hard-working husband? I found the bank book hidden in his desk drawer and was shocked and angered by the nearly $400 monthly salary deposits. What is this about? Furthermore, when I found something suspicious in the bank book and called my husband's company, I was confronted with even more facts. While I was investigating, my husband kept asking me every time he saw my face, "When are you going to abort the child?" Just looking at my husband's face, capable of easily abandoning his own child, was painful enough. Moreover, Miranda comes to leave Nina with us every day as if it's a matter of course. Eventually, morning sickness started, and I didn't even have time to lie down, let alone rest. One day, my mother was supposed to come in the afternoon. For dinner tonight, my mom said she'll make whatever Nina likes. I said loudly enough for Miranda to hear when she brought the child. "Yay! I want hamburgers." Nina is happily delighted. "Huh? Your mother is coming today?" Yes, when I told her I couldn't cook because of morning sickness, she said she would prepare a lot of pre-made dishes. Nice. She seemed oddly happy. After all, my mother's meals are very tasty and my Miranda loved them when I fed them to her before. Afternoon came, and my mother arrived and prepared a lot of pre-cooked dishes. Nina also happily cooked with her grandmother. I lay down on the sofa and felt relieved for the first time in a while. Then, just before 7 in the evening, my husband, surprised to see my parents, but pleased to see his favorite dishes lined up on the table, arrived. Yay! These are so nice. After that, it was a seemingly harmonious family gathering for a while. I had predicted in advance that this would happen to Miranda, who is by nature a gluttonous person. Just before 7 p.m. my father stopped by on his way home from work and we started having dinner. Next to Nina eating well, Miranda is bringing one dish after another to her mouth while making unpleasant crunching noises. My mother rolled her eyes at her tremendous eating. When my husband returns home at nearly 8 o'clock, he is surprised to see my parents there, but pleased to see a number of his favorite dishes on the table. After that, it was a seemingly harmonious family gathering for a while. However, when the meal was over, the bell of retribution rang. I signaled to my mother to take Nina upstairs beforehand, and then I confronted my husband across the table, pushing his bank book towards him. What's the meaning of this? Your salary is nearly $400 a month. So why do you only give me $800 for living expenses? Next to me, my father sat with furrowed brows, arms crossed. My husband glanced briefly at Miranda, still sitting on the sofa in front of the TV, eating something, but she acted like she didn't notice. Because, I've been giving Miranda some money here and there because she said she didn't have enough for living expenses. You used to scold me whenever I said I didn't have enough for living expenses, saying I was spending too much. Now you're acting completely different. Well, you can manage on your own, can't you? You have savings and you've been doing side jobs, right? My husband retorted as if it were natural for me to take care of everything. I had been trying hard not to ask for money from my husband because I thought he was working hard, but it was frustrating to realize that he thought differently. Tears threatened to spill as I struggled to hold back my emotions. I can't stand seeing my dear sister suffering. But you're tough and capable. That's right. You and your delicate ways are different from you. Even Miranda chimed in, emboldening my husband further. What's wrong with helping out family? My family is just Miranda. But I'm your family too. Huh? A wife isn't part of the family. What? I got married because I wanted to build a family with him, but apparently, he didn't share that sentiment at all. A wife should just do housework like a servant. So get rid of that annoying child already. Stop dragging it out forever. Is that so? Beyond anger, I strangely felt calm and decided not to show any mercy. I glanced at my father beside me, and he seemed to understand my feelings, nodding in agreement. I see, I understand your feelings very well. But before that, can I ask you a few things? I opened my husband's bank book once again in front of him. What's this $1,500 that's been deposited from the company on ordinary days? Oh, that is. Because I had surgery, I received a lump sum payment from the company's mutual aid union. Actually, when I called my husband's company, I was surprised when they asked about the progress of my surgery. Upon further inquiry, it turned out that my husband had submitted a claim for surgery that I hadn't even undergone. I didn't have any surgery. Something's fishy. Well, my husband hesitated for a moment, then immediately glared at me and shouted. Quit your nagging. I needed money because Miranda couldn't pay Nina's nursery fees. Miranda isn't getting any child support from her ex-husband, you know. My husband lied and even went so far as to deceive money from the company, yet he believed that what he did wasn't wrong. As my husband angrily turned red-faced, I couldn't help but almost burst out laughing. But Nina isn't even attending nursery. Huh? At that moment, Miranda looked guilty and turned away. My husband's eyes widened in confusion. Why do we need nursery fees if she's not even going to nursery? My husband seemed to sense something from Miranda's behavior. What's going on, Miranda? Nothing. Nina is definitely going to nursery. Nicole, don't tell lies. Miranda denied vehemently, but she looked nervous and avoided eye contact. You don't understand anything about Miranda. Isn't this like fraud? Miranda. Tell me. My husband glared at her with a pale, frightening face. That's when I took out something else. It was a secretly made post on social media by Miranda. Posts like, got a new Hermes bag, and dinner with him while enjoying the night view was the best, were lined up there. Well, Miranda, who was flustered, became even more suspicious and her eyes wandered. There are posts like, got the bank brother and never worry about money. Got child support from my ex-husband, so maybe I'll buy shoes with this. There are lots of others too. Please stop that. Please. My husband's forehead creased, he trembled, and upon seeing this, Miranda let out a small scream. Finding it somewhat amusing, I proceeded to read aloud more of her social media posts. Going to the nightclub with the child allowance and childcare allowance, gonna pop some Dom Perignon. I wonder if it's okay to use the child allowance like this. At that moment, my father spoke up for the first time. If you receive child allowance with these, it's considered fraudulent receipt. In that case, you have to return everything you received. That's not true. Moreover, with such apparent income, it seems like you need to pay taxes as well. My father smirked with a triumphant smile. Actually, my father works for the tax office and has a personality that absolutely cannot overlook such irregularities. I don't want that. Please forgive me. No. If I forgive you, then everyone who's paying their taxes properly will be mad. What should we do? Ace, help me. In a surprising turn, Miranda turned to my husband for help, but of course, my husband pushed her away. Cut it out. Miranda's been deceiving me all along. Ace, I didn't mean to. So you've been calling me a bank and making fun of me, huh? That was just a joke, I'm sorry. Don't give me that. I won't transfer any money to Miranda anymore. We're done. I don't want that. Please, forgive me. As the siblings argued, my husband suddenly kneeled in front of me. I'm sorry for everything. I was wrong. You can have a child with me. Let's be happy with the three of us from now on. He suddenly reached out to touch my SSH, but I instinctively recoiled, feeling disgusted as his arm touched me, giving me goosebumps. Huh? What are you saying? You don't have to give up having a child anymore. Who said I was giving up on having a child? I'm giving up on our marriage. I handed him the divorce papers I had prepared in front of his eyes. My name was already filled in. Huh? Why? I finally acknowledged having a child with you. Why do I need your permission? Even without it, I'll have the child. It's a precious life I've been blessed with. Besides, please sign this. I handed him the divorce settlement papers. It includes $2,000 in alimony, $800 as property division, and a claim for $500 per month in child support starting from the child's birth. No. I love you, Nicole. But my love for you has long since faded. Forgive me. You're the only one for me. No matter what he said now, none of it resonated with me. At that moment, my father stood up. Enough. My father, who usually never raised his voice, shouted with incredible intensity, causing my husband to flinch and finally sign the divorce papers. The next day, I promptly submitted the divorce papers to the city hall. And Nina was taken to her real father's place. Actually, I had contacted Miranda's ex-husband in advance and informed him of everything. It seems Miranda forcibly took Nina in for the child support money, and he was furious. He said he would hire a lawyer and demand a full refund of everything he had paid so far. As for my husband, not only did his false claims come to light, but it was also discovered that he had inflated the company's expenses, resulting in him getting fired. Furthermore, he is being asked to return the embezzled money. In the end, the two of them, burdened with debt, are rumored to be working day and night without finding decent jobs. On the other hand, I returned to my parents' house and safely gave birth to a healthy baby boy. I am struggling with childcare every day, cherishing the happiness of becoming a mother.